Hey everyone, welcome to Christ, Culture, and Coffee. I'm your host, Robbie Lashua, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Tyler Hurley. What's up, Tyler?
What is up, you guys? We're super excited to get back with you guys today. Again, this episode, we have a big announcement, which we've been preparing for a while for you guys.
Yes.
But before we get to that announcement, I want to kind of lead you guys a little bit more in suspense with that, you know?
Yeah, we have a huge announcement.
Yeah, we do. But first,
a word from our sponsors.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. We don't have
nothing
any
like that.
sponsors,
No. But we do have a coffee tip, and we're keeping that tradition that we have with every epispisode as we have, except for like one or two.
We just got tired of it for a little while.
We did.
Yeah, we kept it.
It's okay. It's good. This is great though, because I learned something new out of this myself. So the coffee tip for today, okay, is to lower the acidity of your coffee, all right? If you have maybe a coffee that comes out a little more acidic when you brew it, this is a tip to help reduce that. So something you can do if you want to reduce that is to use eggshells in your coffee grounds.
Eggshells?
I know, yeah, eggshells, right? That's what my reaction was at first, because eggshells are kind of, they kind of, what's that word? Alkaline.
Yeah, they're alkaline.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, alkaline, which they lower the acidity of the coffee as it brews when you have it in the grounds. So for large pots of coffee, like 4 or more cups, you take 2 eggs and remove the yolk and the whites.
That's probably important.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of that was my first hesitation actually when I read this. I was like, do you just like crack the eggs open? I figured you would get rid of them.
Just crack an egg directly
but
into your
there's
coffee
still yolk
pot.
dripping off of them or something, and you just dump them in there. That's what I thought in my head.
That's
but
gross.
no, that's not what you do. You crack the eggs, remove all that, but you keep the shells, right? You wash them out with hot water until it's all cleaned off, and then you put them in the grounds, and you just make your coffee as normal, right?
Do you just throw them in like 2 halves?
No, that's a good question.
Okay.
You want to break them up, right? Because it spreads it out a little bit more into the grounds. Makes sense.
Okay.
But you want to crumble it up, crush the eggshells with your hands, and then just kind of dump it on top of the coffee grounds.
I gotta try this.
Yeah, but another fact about this, you want to make sure that you use shells from fresh eggs, not hard-boiled eggs. And the reason behind this is because when you hard-boil an egg, it releases sulfur into the shells, which adds a weird flavor if you do this to your coffee.
That makes sense. Well, yeah, because when my wife she hard-boils like a whole dozen eggs at a time, it does smell like sulfur.
Yeah, and that would make sense.
Okay.
If you feel the shells too, it's almost like a different texture whenever you do that. So that would make sense.
It must change the component.
It'd have to, yeah. And so that would make sense, but that's what you got to do. I mean, if you were thinking to yourself that you wanted to hard-boil it to make it easier to remove the shells, don't do that. Just use a fresh egg, clean it with hot water. It's not that hard. And when you do this, you can reduce the acidity of your coffee.
Dude, I gotta try this. I want to do like a make a pot of coffee without it, and then make one with it and do a taste test.
The way I would want to test that is by getting coffee that's maybe super acidic.
Yeah.
That way you can really tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's like kind of acidic, you might tell the difference.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I got to try it. And if any of you guys try it, let us know. We'd love to hear how it turns out.
Yes, please.
That's a fascinating coffee tip.
All right.
Well, hey, big announcement today. We've been promoting it like crazy on social media. We've been teasing. I've had a lot of people send me messages or even comment, hey, can you tell me early?
Hey, give me some of the inside.
And we said, hey, no, you got to, come on. You got to listen just like everybody else. This Thursday, 4 o'clock, which is now, unless you're listening later.
Right. Of course. Which not everybody, most people probably don't listen to it right when it comes out. So.
Well, I don't.
I mean, I don't either. I haven't listened to myself in a year.
A long time,
year or two. I don't know. So there we go. So, Robbie, again, we've been promoting this announcement for this week's episode for this show. So, hit us off for the big announcement. Go ahead and explain what is the announcement.
Okay, well, so there's a little background to this. So, what is it now? October,
yeah.
So
I had to think too for a minute when you said that.
Yeah, so I think it was about August of 2020. Maybe even July of 2020. But when COVID was kind of at its peak, for that 6-7 months and nobody knew what was going on. So I was doing a ton of hiking and just a lot of praying during that time, because, we were all home from work. Everyone's working from home. I had a lot of time on my hand. And So anyway, I was just hiking a lot and praying a lot, and just thinking through, God, what do you want me to do with my life, right? And I always tell the Lord, what do you want me to do when I grow up, right?
Yeah, right.
And I tell my wife that, and she always says, "We are up, like
Yeah, we're grown up now.
we're
That's
here,
exactly it,
yeah, we're old."
Yeah.
So, but I was just praying and thinking through things, and talking with my wife about, what do we think for the next 20, 30 years? Where does God want us to be? And I think whenever you're doing that, like, you always need to look at like what you're good at, what you're passionate about, what opportunities you have, how God's using you currently, right?
Yeah.
And so, anyways, we were praying and thinking through all of those things, and my wife and I decided that we thought it was time, and it was interesting because even just praying, I was telling the Lord, if you want me to stay at my church, Desert Springs Community Church, I'll stay there and be associate pastor for 30, 40 years, the rest of my life.
Right.
Like, I love it at the church. And just through praying, my wife and I thought, no, it seems like it's time for us to go and to start our own apologetics ministry in Arizona. Because with the success, right, of this podcast, and
of course.
I speak at multiple churches all the time, and I do Mission Bible Institute, and I've adjunct at other universities and things. It just seems like this is the trajectory of my life.
Yeah, right. And well, obviously, this was the plan for a while, right? It was to have your own apologetics ministry eventually coming out of this with all the traction that we got from this podcast and everything that's going on. But there was a twist in that, right?
There was
something that happened. So explain what that is.
It was kind of weird. Yeah. So anyway, we decided, hey, that's what we want to do. And so I talked with our pastor here, Pastor Steve, who is just amazing. And I explained to him kind of what I was thinking. And he was so supportive of everything. He's like, yeah, I think this is a great idea. God has us in places for seasons, and it seems like that he's moving you out. And I think that we want to support this, and we're behind you 100%. So I made a deal with him that I could stay on staff at the church from January 2021, because I think I talked to him in like November or December of 2020.
Right.
So I'd stay on at the church 2021 through January of 2022. And then I would, in that year, just get all of my ducks in a row, fundraise, get incorporated, get nonprofit status, get a website, app, like all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
So I'm going full steam of that. Like January hits and I'm just...
Yeah, you're just focused on getting everything built up, having this ready.
Yeah, getting incorporated, getting nonprofit, all of this stuff, getting a board together, right? Because you have to have that to have a nonprofit incorporated 501c3.
Yeah, of course.
So anyway, I'm doing all of that. I have a phenomenal friend up in Indiana, and he runs his own software company. He's like, dude, I want to do your branding and your website and your app for free.
Yeah. And again, stuff like that was coming up. And it's showing you, hey, maybe this really is where God's leading me.
Yeah, it's
like,
just
that's how
confirmation.
It felt.
This is what God, this is what I'm good at. And other people see that.
Exactly.
Other people who love the Lord. And so, confirmation in that way.
Right.
And so I'm going with that. I'm meeting with his branding team. We had sweet, like you were in on all this.
Oh, yeah,
talks.
yeah. I knew this stuff is amazing.
We had such a good logo and we had such good branding. It was awesome. So anyway, all that's going on, but then, like you said, there's kind of a wrench thrown in, a good wrench, a plot twist, right?
Yeah, and
this whole thing.
What is that? What happened?
So it was, I think, in February or March. I get a call because with all of this, I had been talking to other people who have done apologetics nonprofit ministries. So I was talking to my friend Brett Kunkel, who runs Maven, and then I was talking to Alan Schleman, who is at Stand to Reason. And they were giving me such good advice on how to do it, what's important to do, how you got to think differently as you build an organization. And it's not exactly like a church, and the operation side of it, right? Because I don't know any of that.
Yeah, of course.
So these guys were helping me out a ton. And then I think it was in February, I get a call from Alan Schleman at Stand to Reason. And he we were talking a lot back then because he was helping me. So he calls me and he says, hey, I got a question for you. Would you be open to having a conversation with us about you maybe coming to work for Stand to Reason instead of creating your own apologetics ministry? And to be honest with you, Tyler, it threw me for a loop, and I literally got dizzy. And I remember I was in this room down here at the church. It was room 108, and I'm like, whoa.
Right.
And for a few reasons, like Stand to Reason's like in my mind, they're like the gold standard of apologetics ministries.
Well, yeah, a lot of stuff that we do in this podcast is based off of what we've gotten from Stand to Reason,
Yes.
and help and advice we've gotten from them as well in their ministry and the impact that they've had. So yeah, that's a really good thing they have going on over there.
Yeah, I mean, they're awesome. Like we've both, you went on 2 mission trips with Stand to Reason people, right?
I think 3,
or did you,
actually.
Okay, 3. Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Salt Lake they didn't do with
That's
us.
true.
We did
You're
it
right.
on our
Okay,
own.
that's true. So only 2, but still, yeah.
But so you know Alan and you
Of
know
course.
Brett. And so anyway, like it made me dizzy. And I'm like, whoa, because it's kind of like something, there's that passage in Scripture that says, "Now to the God who can do far more than you could ever hope or ask." That's what this is. Because it is so beyond anything I ever dreamt I'd be able to do. But at the same time, I had already been working so hard at this other thing.
Right, of course.
So I didn't know what to do. And so I talked with my pastor about it. I talked with my wife about it. And both of them kind of said the same thing. They said, listen, there's no harm in having a conversation.
Of course, yeah.
So I talked to Alan a week later, and I said, yeah, we're open to having a conversation with you guys about it. And he said, okay, give me some dates in April where you're available. So I did. And then the president of Stand to Reason, Greg Kokel, who we had on as our 100th episode.
We did.
He was the star special guest,
yeah,
right?
which was awesome.
Yeah, so we had him on, and anyways, so Greg and Alan drove out here to Phoenix from California, and they were at my house for like 8 hours that day, pitching to me, hey, come work for us. Like, this is why we think you would fit well. This is what we have to offer. Instead of reinventing the wheel and building an organization, which is a ton of work, you could just start with our platform and do the ministry that you want to do.
Yeah.
And so, man, my wife and I prayed about it, thought about it, and it just seemed like this is like the best deal going, like unbelievable. And so we told them in April, and we've been getting all of our ducks in a row for that. But so the big announcement is that I'm going to be going to work for Stand to Reason January 1st. I'm starting there.
Yes,
so
that is the big announcement.
It's huge, man. Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
Super exciting. Like we said, Stand to Reason, it's an awesome ministry. And the fact that you're going to be working with them, from the fact that that we've been using a lot of their material and their ministry over these years. And so it's just so cool that that's where you're going to end up. So explain to us, though, what is it that you will be doing at Stand to Reason? What is your role going to be there?
So the things that I wanted to do with my own thing that we were going to call, remember, Fortified Apologetics, what I wanted to do with that is I wanted to have online training, in-person training, and adventure camps. And with the online training, it's kind of like what everyone has, blogs, articles, all that, videos, online courses. And then with the in-person training, one thing I'm really passionate about that is just not being done is creating apologetics ministries in the local church.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books and a lot of resources and a lot of online content, but how do we get it to be happening in the local church so that people in the local church are being edified and built up in apologetics? And that's what I've been doing here at Desert Springs for the past 5 years. I've been pastor of apologetics, so I've kind of like trailblazed, here's a way you can do it in the local church context. That was a good part of how this
podcast started, too. It was a part of edifying the church. We didn't really understand how big it would blow up. We thought originally it would be just like the church podcast. Like the church would benefit from this, which now like it's expanded beyond that.
Yes.
So, but that's exactly what you're going to be doing now, except on a broader scale.
Yeah. And so that's what my job's going to be at STR is I'm going to be one of their speakers, a content developer. So, podcast, writing articles for their website, blog, all that kind of a thing.
Right.
But then specifically, I'm going to be what we're calling the outpost director because they have wanted to, for a while, create apologetics ministries in the local church. There are some there are some apologetics ministries that have like local chapters, but they're more like a book club that meets in a house, not paired with the local church.
Right.
And as well as I do, like so many people we meet are like, I've never even heard of apologetics.
Yeah.
And that has got to change or the church is going to flounder in the next 50 years. Like we got to change the tide in that. So I'm going to be this outpost director. And so I'm putting together a program basically to where we could put into a church and get somebody to run and they could lead an apologetics ministry in their local church that'll help supplement what the pastors are doing. It'll help be a resource for people when they have difficult questions, because I also know what it's like to be a pastor. And man, like there's so many demands on you. It's really hard for like, oh yeah, I've got to do, a funeral. I've got to do marriage counseling. I've got to do this person's having trouble with their teenager. Oh, and by the way, I have to put a sermon together and I have to run an organization. Oh, and then I'm supposed to read 12 books a week so I can make sure to answer everyone's questions.
Yeah,
it's not feasible. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why that role is so important, because you as that the position you've been in for the past few years, that being in other churches is huge, because there's another person that can have that mitigated to the apologetic standpoint of teaching and edifying and helping out in that way.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it also doesn't have to be a paid position. Like we want this to be lay leader run. You know what I mean? So it's not like you have to hire a pastor of apologetics, but it's just somebody at church volunteers to run these STR outposts in their local church. And so I'm hoping, man, and I'm praying that within a year, it'd be awesome to have 15 to 20 of these going, because I want to coach those guys. I want to be on, regular Zoom meeting calls with them, coaching them through how to do it, being an encouragement to them, helping them with difficult questions so that they can then multiply apologetics ministry in their church and be training more and more ambassadors for Jesus. And so that's what I just feel so privileged to do this, because I love speaking and teaching apologetics. Yeah, obviously podcasting, I love doing that. I like writing content and articles and things that can help supplement people's understanding, and then multiplying impact through STR outposts. I'm so looking forward to doing that. And actually, as of today, I already have 4 churches that are like, we want to do that.
That is awesome.
And I haven't even started.
Yeah, I had not heard that. That is amazing news.
Yeah, so it's pretty sweet, man. If they want to do it, we don't even have it. I haven't even put it all together yet.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You're getting people lined up, and that's even before it's been made fully public. Like people are just hearing about this and talking about it. So imagine how churches will jump in on this once you do market it out.
Yes.
So that's a really good sign. But with that, obviously, this is such great news. Big things are happening. A lot of big goals that are coming up for you as well. That we're like, this is just awesome. But for you to do all that, obviously you need support, and so. Our listeners here, they are supporters. There's a lot of people who've been here for a long time, or even people who are new who are hopping in the podcast and who want to know how to support you. So tell us a little bit more about that. How can we support you on your kickoff in this ministry?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. One is I just appreciate prayer. That's huge. Like, this is a big transition for me and my family. I have been in full-time church vocational ministry for the past 15 years. So right after I got out of college, right? So that has been my professional career. So this is a different step in not working at a church, but working for a nonprofit organization for me.
Big career change. Yeah.
It is, and it's in the same vein, but it is different.
Of course,
So just praying for me, for my family, that would be huge, and praying that I would just do what the Lord's having me to do. Like that I would be able to continue to equip people in apologetics and to multiply apologetics ministries. I want to do that. I heard a guy one time say, and I really like this, because, life's not about me or you. It's about Jesus.
Right.
And this guy said, my goal in life is to serve Jesus extremely well and then die and be forgotten. And I like that. I don't want it to be about me at all. I want it to be about him, and that's my goal, is to be faithful to him with this. So praying for the transition and praying for what I'm going to be doing with Stand to Reason would be huge. The second thing, though, is that I do need financial support. And this is, I just think that having this podcast is a huge blessing to be able to broadcast that. I need people to support me. Really, how this works is I have to raise my salary kind of as a missionary to go on staff with them. And so to do that, the best way to do it, honestly, is to have a whole ton of people who are all given, $10, $15, $20 a month. So, if somebody was out there and they're like, I could give $200 a month. Oh, God bless you. Like, that'd be amazing, right?
Course.
But really, if we could get a bunch of people who are all giving $5 a month, $10 a month, or a one-time donation, something that would help me to be able to go and do this ministry and expand what we've already done here. And so if you would like to support me, I would appreciate it immensely. And we'll put this link in the notes, but just to say it on the air, it's a donate.str.org/donate/outpost.
Yeah.
So I know most people aren't going to remember that, but it's in the show notes on Spotify and on Apple and all that. We'll be putting it on our social media.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. We'll have that up on social media as well. But seriously, guys, please jump in on this because we believe that, I believe personally, that apologetics is extremely important. And what Robbie's doing here is going to set a foundation of that and helping reinforce that idea in churches by raising up church leaders, which is phenomenal because he's going to be teaching teachers, essentially, is what's happening, which is going to continue that discipleship process. Yeah. And we're big on that with this podcast. And so please, if you have the capability to do so, please support him financially and with your prayers. That would be amazing. We would really appreciate that.
Yep. And one other thing too about that aspect of it that I think is really cool. And even if you can't financially support, I still want you to contact me because I want to sign you up. Because what I'm going to do is every month for my supporters, I'm going to write an apologetics training piece that's specifically for my donors.
Look at that. That's cool.
And here's the reason why. Yeah. So so Kelly and I for years have had a Compassion International child. Right. So this boy, we have Ryan, he lives in Bolivia, and we've helped him with school and with food and with medical stuff. Yeah. Through giving, a kind of a small amount per month. But it goes a long way. So it's interesting. So how Compassion International works, great organization. We give money for them to do ministry to not us, right? Yeah. It's a little bit different with apologetics because people who donate are the people that I want to do ministry to as well. Does that make sense? It's not like you're donating to me and then I'm going over here to do ministry to someone else. Like STR wants to do ministry to our donors.
Yeah,
like
and that's
we want to
unique
train
for a lot of ministries.
Yeah, it's a little different. And so even if people cannot financially take part right now, I still want you to contact me and give me your email so that I can sign you up to get this training piece. Because above and beyond having finances, I want to train people in apologetics.
Yeah, of course.
And this is one of the ways I'll do it. Every month you'll get a written article on a contemporary, kind of like with the podcast, awesome, on a cultural thing that's going on, so you can be trained about it. So please, if you can, help financially support, but if you can't, that's all right. Sign up anyway and send us your email, and I'll set you up to get that monthly training article.
Yeah, and that's awesome because that again, that I think it's pretty evident that your intent is to just reach people, and because that's been the whole goal with the podcast. This is a free content thing. Like, we don't really generate money through this.
No, we have some Patreon.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. We've had supporters, but aside from that, the whole focus has been, hey, we want to just get the word out and train people up.
Well, and the truth of it is, that the financing for this has come from the church.
Exactly. Yes, and that's been huge. The church has funded this entirely, which has been amazing.
Yes, and that's also what's funded even my time. You volunteer your time, but even funding my time has been the church pays me to do these types of things. Yeah, but now I'm transitioning out of that, and I'm gonna need help financially.
Of course, and so yes, again, please do that if you can. We'll have that link shared in the show notes and on social as well. Yep. But that being said, though, this is the other announcement we wanted to discuss. So we are going to discuss now with you guys the future of this podcast.
Yes, see, this is the touchy subject. A lot of people, on Instagram even today were like, "Please don't break my heart." So I think somebody said "I just started listening. Please don't tell me there's going to be some big changes." There has to be big changes with this.
Of course, there has to be. Yeah.
And so what's going to happen is, and this is sad. To me, I don't know if it's sad to you or if it's a relief.
It's sad, but yeah. I've loved doing this. It's been great. Yeah.
But Christ Culture and Coffee, as it is today, it's going to come to an end, but not until the end of December.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue doing this show throughout the rest of 2021. And so you have that. So what do we got? We probably got 10 more, 12 more episodes, something like that to come. And we also are going to leave it up, so it's not going to disappear. You don't have to like download all of our episodes and burn them onto a CD if you still
everything
have
will
that
still
capability.
be up,
Yeah, everything will still be up. But it is going to come to an end just because with going under Standard Reason, it's just that transition time where this has been an awesome 3 years. But now it's kind of coming to a close.
Yeah, of course. But with that too, there's still an upside to this. Even with that too, is that as far as podcasting goes, you're also going to be doing another podcast through STR.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, and what that's going to be and the format of it and how often, I have no idea. Yeah. I'm thinking through that and retooling and also figuring things out with the people at Standard Reason.
Right.
But what I would like to do is just, so people who've subscribed to this show, just like carry it over. Yeah. Instead of it being a break and then, hey, now go find us here, we could just like move it into that.
Right,
somehow.
of course. Yeah, because we want you guys all to keep listening to the content. And Robbie's going to keep going with this. And so if you guys want to continue to have this content being pushed out, Robbie's going to continue doing that. It's just a matter of when and what that's going to look like exactly.
Yeah, and we'll announce it for sure before we're done with Christ Culture and Coffee, but everything's still in the works and still getting formulated, and so we just don't know exactly what that'll be yet.
Yeah. But still, again, this is all just some fantastic news because what's happening here is God's really pushing your ministry forward and working through you, which is amazing. It's just incredible to see the growth and the traction that's come out of all of this.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But, I mean, because so when I was in college, so I had my first iPod. My brother bought it for me, and it was like one of those old ones that had like the dial. I mean, because I'm old, Tyler, right? You're young. Right. I'm not young. So this must have been like 2005, and I started listening to Standard Reason then. Wow, I mean, I've been listening to Greg Kokel and his show for 16 years, man, 17 years.
That's crazy, yeah.
It is crazy.
Well, they've been around for a while,
Yeah, they've been around for a long time, but also like I feel like they've discipled me from afar for a long time. Like I have that DNA. Like they taught me apologetics.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy to think about that. And then I went to school, and I did all those other things.
Of course.
But so it's very surreal to me to be able to go work for a place that I have admired from afar for a really long time.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to that passage, to the God who's able to do far more than you could ever think or ask. And this is that for me and for my wife Kelly. Like this is just it's blown us away. And if I stop and think about it, it makes me tear up because it's just amazing what God will do if you're faithful. And I think that's the goal, is just faithfulness in our life, following what he has for us to do, blooming where we're planted. That's what the guys at Standard Reason say. I've taken that to heart for the past 16 years. Like I want to do a good job wherever I'm at.
Yeah, of course.
And God directs, and God brings opportunities. It's awesome. Really thankful for all that's going on with this. But at the same time, and again, we're gonna have like our last show. We'll have all that kind of a thing. But I really do, man. I've appreciated every week me and you get to hang out and talk about these things, and it's just, I don't know, it's just been a real joy in my life to hang out with you and to be able to talk about this.
Again, this is like really expanded my growth too, because obviously we started this out. I was doing this originally as an internship when I was in college, and that's how this started. And then it just grew from there, and now I've just kind of been keeping it going with you. So it's been so much fun and so beneficial to my growth too. And I just want to like publicly thank you for that. And I really appreciate it. I wouldn't know anything about apologetics if it wasn't for you. Not even just from the podcast, but from high school. Like you've trained me like everything in apologetics that I know, and I'm forever grateful for that. And
thanks, bro.
Thank you for letting the Lord use you in that way and train me up in that as well. It's been amazing.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see you train other people up in it.
I'm looking forward to that as well.
I mean, that's what's awesome about it. And so, but cool. Again, we don't want to get too mushy. We're gonna have our last show. We still got 12 or 13 more episodes.
So we got a few more weeks. Yeah,
we do. We have a few more weeks, and it's gonna be great. But this was the big announcement. I know it's kind of a shorter episode than normal.
But that's what there is to it, right? We just need you guys to know, and we wanted to explain it in an episode. I feel like it's more important coming from our voices and in person. Well, I say in person, but you know what I mean. Virtually. So there we go. But it's more genuine that we do it this way than through a social media post. And we wanted to explain to you guys exactly what's going on because you guys have been great too, because we have been able to keep this going for a long time. There's just been so much traction, and it's just awesome to hear stories too of people that have been affected by the podcast and who have done other ministries and built up those ministries with things that they've learned from the podcast, like all over the place. It's just amazing the stories that we hear, and so it's really encouraging to both of us to hear that from you guys, because it lets us know too and affirms that God has been using this podcast, has been using us through this method, and it's been helping build you guys up, and that's been the goal all along. Again, like our slogan throughout this whole thing has been to equip Christians to be able to defend their faith and be confident in their faith, and I feel that God's been doing that through us, and so I'm very thankful for that, and that you guys have been impacted by it is just amazing to me.
It is amazing. So, hey, thanks so much for being with us today. Again, if you want to check out Stand to Reason, you can check out their website, str.org, and that's where I'm going to be starting in January, but we still got a lot of weeks left of this show, so please join us next week for another episode of Christ, Culture, and Coffee, and if you want, again, all the donation stuff will be linked in the notes, and you can check it out there. But thanks so much for anticipating this show. Hopefully a lot of you are listening to this show, and we just wanted to explain, how things are heading in our lives and the direction that things are going, and keep you on top of all of the changes that are coming. So I hope nobody's too sad about this. But there's really good things coming too. So anyway, thanks so much for being with us today on Christ, Culture, and Coffee, and we will be back next week with another episode. We'll see you guys then.